Not everything that hip hop glitters is hip hop gold. I use that saying a lot. As far as I can tell, I'm pretty sure I coined it a few years ago. I'm not fully sure which particular incident sparked it, but I've used it multiple times over the years, usually in situations like those I'm about to describe, where it's meant to call attention to a highly publicized occurrence, usually involving a major hip hop figure, that on the surface seems like a good thing, but when looking at it a bit more critically, problematic aspects emerge. Now, it's important to look at things more critically in all aspects of our lives, in our jobs, our relationships, how we see politics, the news. I often talk about how being into hip hop can teach you all kinds of transferable life skills, and I think that if we look a little deeper at some of the big hip hop news that catches our attention, we might be better equipped to do that sort of thing all around. When it comes to those big hip hop stories, they really do require that critical thinking. After all, mainstream media, which all too often lacks any ability to see nuance in or around hip hop, they're going to do what media all too often does by simply converting a press release into a story. There's rarely any analysis or any opposing voices, just standard fluffy ribbon-cutting style coverage, if they cover it at all. So-called hip-hop media probably won't cover it either, unless mainstream media does it first. If you look at most hip-hop news-tertainment sites, their coverage of larger hip-hop affiliated occurrences are overwhelmingly just rewrites of something that a mainstream outlet released first. The days of hip-hop media breaking hip-hop news are long gone, as most such outlets have, when it comes to news anyway, simply become topical aggregators. Even then, there's rarely anything more than just stating the thing that happened. Sometimes there'll be some commentary along the lines of, wow, what a dope thing for the people or for hip-hop. Even if hip-hop is one of the least of the benefactors, way farther down on the list behind the personal gain of the usually already high-value individual or organization. Even worse if, underneath the glitter, the thing that happened is actually bad for hip-hop, or those traditionally associated with it. And we see it all the time when these things have hit the blogosphere or, in most recent eras, social media. There's that onslaught of responses that follow, praising the hip-hop affiliated individual or organization for some apparent good deed or for achieving some lucrative milestone, a reaction of, that's big for hip-hop. This is because people tend to not look past that surface level and really dig into anything that momentarily crosses their social media feed. We're all guilty of it. Studies have shown that more and more, we just take what we might see on social media as fact, and not really go into the details. But misinformation and disinformation abound. Their sources as innocent as well-meaning reposters thinking they're sharing some important, helpful message, to more nefarious, orchestrated campaigns with specific but highly obfuscated goals. Hold that thought. So, it's no wonder that folks might look at something glittery and assume it to be gold. But this can lead to a lot of added problems, which ironically can adversely affect those who are often the ones cheering the loudest. This happens in hip-hop all the time. Some examples which I've noticed and taken issue with over the years have included Russell Simmons' GlobalGrind.com, Russell Simmons' Rush Card, P. opening a charter school, Universal Hip Hop Museum launching a public fundraising campaign, Lecrae sponsoring a rap contest for incarcerated folks, the very existence of love and hip-hop. Several of Questlove's hot takes, most recently his hip-hop is truly dead statement, JayZ's relationship with the Barclays Center and the Brooklyn Nets, JayZ's partnership with the NFL, and most recently, two more, which prompted me to do this whole thing. JayZ's involvement in the education system, and Swizz Beatz and Timberland bringing Verzuz back. Now, before I break this down any further, I want to acknowledge something. When I critique these individuals or organizations, I'm doing so with a holistic view, not an emotional one. This is never a hater situation, and I'm always super conscious of my place and my role in the culture. I'm no arbiter of fact, I'm no savior, I'm no chosen one. I can, however, always explain and cite evidence to support any criticism, and almost always can point to other respected voices that further validate my concerns. So this isn't a just me thing, although sometimes it is because I sometimes see things earlier than other people, but you get my point. Look, I'm in the business of exploring ways that hip-hop music, culture, and spirit can be best used to help uplift humanity and improve society. Anyone doing that work gets whatever I can offer in terms of amplification and signal boosting. That's what I do 99% of the time, and it clearly centers voices and issues that affect and can bring justice to particularly communities of color. I think that's a good thing. However, anyone who might be improperly leveraging the music and culture, they gonna get this work. The goal of this piece is ultimately to remind us to spend more time and effort highlighting the individuals and organizations doing innovative, forward-thinking, groundbreaking, and impactful work through hip-hop that are saving lives, improving livelihoods, and uplifting communities. Way more often than not, those folks aren't the rich celebrities. So, on that note, a couple of glittery recent news stories came to my attention, and I want to share with you what I thought about them. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's go. The first story: JayZ's Roc Nation hosts educational events to help low-income students earn $300 million in scholarships. In this coverage, it states, quote, Roc Nation is helping underprivileged students in Philadelphia secure $300 million worth of scholarships to attend private schools with the Pennsylvania Award for Student Success, PASS. The scholarships offered through the PASS program range from $2,500 for half-day kindergarten students, $5,000 for K through 8th grades, $10,000 for 9th through 12th grades, and $15,000 for students with special needs. Quote, we have enjoyed such a special connection with Philadelphians, so we've made it our mission to invest in the long-term success of the city's changemakers, said Danya Diaz, Roc Nation's managing director of philanthropy. Impact starts with the students and with awareness. We want to empower the youth and families with the knowledge to pursue their scholastic dreams, make their voices heard, and become the leaders of tomorrow. Well, this sounds lovely. What could possibly be wrong with that? What's that? Oh, I see. Okay. As Nicole Hannah-Jones, creator of the 1619 Project, stated, I really wish rich, out-of-touch folks who know nothing about education would just stop. 1. Read the fine print. This is a government voucher program. Voucher programs have not been shown to improve results for poor black children because most cannot get into high-quality private schools. 2. Read the fine print. All of the money is coming from taxpayers, i.e. the government. Roc Nation is not funding this. It's just launching an educational campaign that maybe it's being paid to do. I'm researching. But certainly its involvement is to convince poor black parents to leave the public schools. 3. What do you think that $300 million could do for improving those low-performing public schools? 4. It is a lie that these programs do not take from public school funding. Fewer kids in a classroom means fewer dollars to the school. 5. This is a windfall to the city's private schools at the expense of the public ones that most kids attend. Eek. A tweet Jones later reposted puts it another way. At Dan_UA, said differently, as Pennsylvania is on the verge of transforming the most inequitable school funding system in the nation, an out-of-state billionaire is pairing with a suburban Philadelphia one to try and destroy public education instead. Eek. Several articles went into even more detail about why this glitter ain't necessarily gold, including this one on HuffPost.com, which quotes U.S. House Representative Summer Lee's post, which said, quote, this ain't it. The answer to the inequity plaguing our PA public schools is not a celebrity campaign for a GOP proposal to take public dollars to send a few lucky kids to private schools. The answer is to make sure our public schools are actually properly funded. Then the American Federation of Teachers Pennsylvania chimed in, sharing a photo of JayZ and Jeffrey Yass, an ultra-wealthy Republican mega-donor who's donated tens of millions of dollars toward the school choice movement in Philadelphia, echoing Summer Lee, posting, quote, this ain't it. Now, to be fair, Roc Nation responded to the backlash with CEO Desiree Perez telling HuffPost, quote, Roc Nation is not backing any particular bill or any political party. What we are backing is education. We're not forcing people to sign anything. We're just educating them, which I would think everyone wants people to make informed decisions. We care about our people. We care about the children. And the only thing that I don't see anywhere is anyone talking about the kids. People are talking about the public school system and how important it is, which I agree. I hear all about the budget, government, parties, and bills, but no one's talking about the children. To which Josh Cohen, professor of education policy and author of The Privateers, How Billionaires Created a Culture War and Sold School Vouchers, says, I can't stress enough just how bad the academic outcomes for these programs are. Not just a little negative, but some of the largest academic declines ever seen in academic research on the topic. These schools can reject anyone they want. They can expel anyone they want. They're not giving the results they promised to the parents. That's the biggest concern. It's all messaging and none about results for kids. Oh my God, okay, deep breath, y'all. Clearly, there's way more to this issue. And Roc Nation's insistence that, quote, anyone claiming our interest is political is a deflection at best and insulting as hell at most. School choice and voucher programs, funding of public schools, billionaire carpetbaggers injecting themselves into local issues, that's political shit. Now, despite having some knowledge on these issues, I don't want to do a whole treatise on this, lest I get something wrong and have Neil deGrasse Tyson come for my ass. I'll leave it all up to the very capable education reporters, on-the-ground organizations, and, if we must, politicians and lobbyists to hash that all out. The point is, when it comes to issues like these, we as citizens need to take all of that in order to make our own educated, informed decisions, not just support it because it's JayZ, and definitely not ignore it because it is JayZ. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm nothing if not supportive of hip-hop's ability and urgent need to help transform the educational system in America. But those who care about hip-hop as a culture must take extra care to examine when, where, and most important, why hip-hop suddenly shows up on the big stage. Because according to a lot of folks who have been doing the work of school reform through hip-hop for decades, this ain't it. Unless you approve of all these things, in which case, I hope we could change your mind, but also, you're probably not watching this. So, anyway, one more example that just popped up and really made me stop and take the time to do this video in the first place. From Variety.com. Swizz Beatz and Timberland strike Verzuz distribution deal with Elon Musk's X. Verzuz, the online platform launched during the pandemic by Swizz Beatz and Timberland, has struck a distribution partnership with Elon Musk's X. Interesting. Now, Verzuz is, in all fairness, a really great franchise. The faux competitive musical face-off series came to life during the pandemic and was one of the great successes from that period, one that gave lovers of black music plenty of joyous memories to counter the misery of what we were all dealing with at the time. There's even an interesting story in there about IP and ownership, how Swizz Beatz and Timberland reacquired ownership of the brand. So again, on the surface, the revival of a beloved event series, keeping full ownership, partnering with a large distribution platform, it all seems like hip-hop gold. Just maybe not this platform. Again, way more than we need to dig into here. Y'all know how to internet if you really want to delve deeper. But there are very real, problematic concerns about hooking up with Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter. Again, there's no shortage of quality analysis out there on this. But for example, quote, a review by NBC News found X running ads on 20 racist and anti-Semitic hashtags more than 18 months after Musk said that he would demonetize hate posts. And from a recent Mother Jones article, racist pseudoscience is making a comeback thanks to Elon Musk. Recently, the tech billionaire has been retweeting prominent race scientist adherents on his platform X, formerly known as Twitter, spreading misinformation about racial minorities' intelligence and physiology to his audience of 176.3 million followers. So of all the platforms, and they're all problematic, but Swizz and Timbo chose that one. The one whose owner says, DEI is just another word for racism. Shame on anyone who uses it. Wow. As Mike Mogul put it on Facebook, quote, sold their soul and announced it on Juneteenth. Way to go. Now, for me, this is even more ominous than just the selling of souls. I have, for several years now, been warning of a concerted effort by right-wingers to utilize their massive, multiple billionaire-funded digital campaigning expertise to infiltrate a population of voters that they've never been quite able to sway through their favorite methods of fear-mongering and disinformation as much as they have their largely white base. Black people. And it's my contention that they've figured out a way to do this right under the noses of the painfully outdated and oblivious left-wing and democratic machines. Through hip-hop. Now, I'm not going to rehash that whole Mannyfesto, though I'll be updating it soon because like 942,376 things have happened since I correctly predicted that we'd see more like what I spoke about when I did it then. Anyway, the point is that it's not necessarily a coincidence that DJ Academics went to Rumble, that Ice Cube hit up Tucker Carlson, that RFK Jr. was sharing his not-so-expert opinions with Math Hoffa, or that Candace Owens kicked it with Joe Budden, The Breakfast Club, and was recently tried and slide all up into allhiphop.com. And if you're a Democratic strategist and for some of those names you're like, well, who's that? What's that? Please hit me up. That's part of the problem. Anyway, some will say, well, it's important to give equal platforms to all sides. That's the role of journalism. Well, few things. Few have the policy chops to push back against the extremely orchestrated, misleading, and potentially harmful information being fed to their audiences. As you'll understand if you read my piece, all they need to do is get you to watch once. And then they've entrapped you in their digital clutches, leaving you vulnerable to their onslaught of targeted attacks through ads, videos, and social media feeds. And sooner or later, you'll get got by a piece of misinformation. Like this from the Associated Press. Quote, an anonymous user on the social platform X who uses a pseudonym, it's not me, claimed that a government website had revealed skyrocketing rates of voters registering without a photo ID in 3 states this year, 2 of them crucial to the presidential contest. Extremely concerning, ex-owner Elon Musk replied twice to the post this past week. Are migrants registering to vote using SSN? Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, an ally of former President Donald Trump, asked on Instagram, using the acronym for Social Security number. Trump himself posted to his own social platform within hours to ask, who are all these voters registering without a photo ID in Texas, Pennsylvania, and Arizona? What is going on? Well, nothing. According to the article, quote, Stephen Richer, Stephen Richer, the recorder in Maricopa County, Arizona, which includes Phoenix, refuted the claim in multiple X posts, while Jane Nelson, the Secretary of State in Texas, issued a statement calling it totally inaccurate. Yet by the time they tried to correct the record, the false claim had spread widely. In 3 days, the pseudonymous user's claim amassed more than 63 million views on X. A thorough explanation from Richer attracted a fraction of that, reaching only 2.4 million users. The incident sheds light on how social media accounts that shield the identities of the people or groups behind them through clever slogans and cartoon avatars have come to dominate right-wing political discussion online, even as they spread false information. And spreading that false information to people who listen to or are attached to hip-hop was never really possible before. But it is now, and that's why they're there. Look, you can disagree, throw all the hateful comments you want. I'm actually secretly hoping for the day I get invaded by anonymous comment bots. Then you'll know I've made it. Until then, my objective actually isn't to get you to agree with me. You might think the past legislation's a great thing. You might think Verzuz is perfect for X. You might think giving platforms to racist, xenophobic, anti-LGBTQ political provocateurs being funded by dark money conservative cabals who want to turn the country into a Christian white nationalist homeland and persecute, jail, or hell, just kill anyone who wants equality, equity, and fairness is the way to go. Good for you. All I want us to do, especially those of us who love hip-hop and want to see its powers used for good, is to think twice about everything you see and hear. The reasons why we shouldn't simply accept or encourage just any old thing that any old hip-hop mogul does have been shown to us several times. It's bad enough that someone might say, I don't know, they never touched a woman, that they actually kicked in the head in a hotel hallway on camera. But the enemies of justice and equality fully subscribe to the ideals of white supremacy and rampant capitalism. When it comes to who might be blocking hip-hop's ability to help uplift humanity, we already know the usual suspects. Most music and radio execs and personnel, opportunists all over the place, the mountain climbers who play electric guitar. So when folks see their own heroes doing seemingly heroic things, it's tempting to look through those gold-colored glasses, seeing it as a win for the people. But if we don't take time to examine the hidden cons while only celebrating the surface pros, we might end up being played by those same systems our heroes once were interested in helping defeat. The worst part is that there are real people on the ground doing real work to tackle real issues every day in every city. We don't need to wait for or blindly follow any celebrity or high-profile organization to make meaningful progress in a fight for real social justice. We need to be lifting up those real change makers and culture workers, proving that not only is hip-hop not dead, but alive and well when it comes to really being able to transform society for the better. Does that mean that these celebrities and high-profile organizations are willing participants in these evil systems? Or are they unwitting puppets? That's really not for me to say. People are going to have to make their own judgments. But I was trained by some of the best actual journalists in the game, folks that taught me how to always look past the surface, so I'm always naturally skeptical. And I think it's best for the cause if we not only boost up those folks doing the real work, but also keep a more critical eye on how hip-hop is being leveraged by everyone for sure, as there's always been plenty of folks outside the culture wreaking havoc on this thing of ours. And sometimes those folks find their way into the game. But some of them were already here, so we always have to be equally wary of those who fly an extra glittery hip-hop flag. Some of those folks think we're fools. We're not. We're golden. Peace and love.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.